What's up YouTube, Capital G here, looking at the OCG for just a bit. And the reason that I'm doing this is because in the OCG, certain regions and certain tournament spots have already started dueling under their January 1st, 2016 ban list. Now, you guys probably know what their ban list was. It was kind of minimal with only 3 cards getting banned, that being Plush Fire, Damage Juggler, and Shockmaster. But it did honestly have a profound impact. We all know what Performages and Pals was. It was a hybrid deck of Performages and Performapals mixed into a deck that was a tier 0 monstrosity. In fact, if you look at the Japan for a little while now, the game has pretty much been Performages or some type of Performapal deck like dominating the game. Ever since they really like took out Necroz and decided to throw dirt on that deck, they basically hit it to where it just wasn't going to be able to play with these new pendulum decks. Like some variation of Performages or Performapals has been like a dominant deck. Now, unfortunately, this is the newest iteration. People are calling this Performapal Dracoslayers, or I guess you can call it like Draco Performapals or whatever you call it. This is essentially the newest version. This was just one deck I picked in particular, but there was a tournament. It was almost 120 participants, and this Performapal Dracoslayer deck, it took a lot of the top spots. I mean, there were other decks up there like Burning Abyss and Monarch, which is really good to see that those two decks actually have a fighting chance. But you know, it kind of saddens me because it shows you, man, even with the Performage engine basically gutted and taken out of the deck, like somehow, some way, you know, Performapals are still like pretty much the best deck going. And I think Konami is, I don't think that they're done. You know, at first they hit things like Ptolemaeus and they hit things like Norden. They tried to make sure that people weren't just being, you know, they weren't just, okay, Cyber Infinity spam. And then they were like, well, crap, that didn't solve the problem. So they went after the Performages, and it's like, well, that didn't solve the problem either. You know, this pendulum mechanic and the Performapals are still dominating. I think that they're going to have to do, like, I think they're going to have to go even more severe. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if things like Scroll Combat Joker ended up going to 1, or, you know, maybe even Luster Pendulum Dracoslayer. That's another big card. And the reason why I think that this deck has been so successful, even without things like Damage Juggler, because we all know the combos between Plush Fire and Dracoslayer. Like, usually when you resolve that, I'm under the impression that you almost always win because of how much advantage you make with just that play. But a lot of it has to do with this incredibly stupid card that Konami is about to release in Breaker of Shadows. We're going to be playing this card in just a few weeks. In fact, come next month, I think you'll be able to play this entire deck like card for card, except some of the extra deck cards. But the main deck, you'll be able to play this card for card. And a lot of it has to do with this card called Clash of Draco Rivals, which essentially just it allows you to get to like your Vector Pendulum or your Luster Pendulum, or this card, if you don't know about it, Master Pendulum, the Dracoslayer. This guy is really, really good. Not only is he the opposite of Not only is he the opposite of Luster Pendulum Dracoslayer, but he's kind of like a built-in MST. You just put him in your Pendulum Scale, and then you get to just blow up another card in your opponent's Pendulum Scales. It only works once while it's face up, so a lot of people only run like 1 copy of it. You don't see them maxing out on it, but it's just the fact that it is pseudo searchable and it does blow up one of your opponent's pendulum scales. But let's go back to this card, Clash of the Draco Rivals. You reveal you reveal a Draco Slayer and a Draco Lord pendulum card, and then or pendulum monsters. Your opponent randomly chooses one, and then you either get to summon that card or you get to put it in your pendulum zone. We know how amazing this is. And to make it even worse, like, the other card goes on top of your extra deck face up, so it's like you can just pendulum summon that card back. So this card is pretty nuts. And then when you combine this plus Wavering Eyes, it's like, oh my god, how can anything but pendulums how can they keep up against a deck that's like this fast when you have, you know, Performapal Stratos over here, which gets them to pretty much any card they need. So just looking at this deck for a little bit, I think that it's interesting, despite the fact that people were playing 3 copies of Solemn Notice. It's like Konami really didn't give Notice a second eye. Now, I don't know if that was because, you know, Notice was still fairly a new card. It had just been released on Breaker of Shadows. They want to, you know, sell through as much Breaker of Shadows as possible before they hit the card, because, you know, they didn't really wait that long before banning Plushfire outright. So I think it's kind of interesting to see that Solemn Notice is pretty much a staple at 3 in the OCG, and yet Konami kind of ignored it. I don't think that they're going to do that for much longer, and it's interesting to see MST going back into the main deck. I think that this may be more of like, this could be a tech thing because there's Twin Twister, but you know, one might wonder, is Twin Twister going to see play if there is no Performage engine? Because Twin Twister was like a really good card, especially if you could pitch a Trick Clown, or if you could pitch a copy of Damage Juggler. Obviously that's the nuts because you just banish it and search, but if there's no, you know, if there's no good discard fodder, I mean, is it really worth playing anymore? So just giving us guys a quick once through, you know, showing you guys what is kind of like the dominant deck in Japan. Granted, of course, it's a different format, it's a different meta. The biggest thing is obviously Performages aren't going to see a lot of play because the heart and soul of the deck, Plushfire and Damage Juggler, have been kind of neutered, and they do have things like, you know, Exits on Night that we of course don't, but you know, well, Solemn Judgment as well. But in just like a month, we will be able to play every single one of these cards. Like every one of these cards in this main deck, we will be able to play in. You know, you guys are probably gonna have to be dealing with this sometime soon. So let me know what you guys think. I think that man, Konami still has a lot of work ahead of them. My first guess is like Scroll Combat Joker, dude. Either ban it or just go ahead and ban. If Stratos is banned, then just go ahead and ban this, guys. So anyways, thank you guys for watching as always.